welcome, dear friends. Chairman Shri Sandeep Handa ji, Honorary Secretary Shri K.R. Gupta ji, delegates, and all the participants, our keynote speakers. So you are welcome to the today's session of theme, which we are having a webinar on valuing water, which is on World Water Day 2021. This day is being celebrated on 20th March all every year, and all organizations world over, including Institution of Engineers in general and Institution of Engineers Faridabad Local Center in specific, celebrate this day with full enthusiasm and fervor. I am being participating in this day, contributing for last 4 5 years continuously, and this time uh, uh, our honorary secretary has given me an opportunity to moderate this session. I am thankful to him. As you know, uh, our one-fourth of the total population world over is have no access to the potable water. Almost half of this population, let's say 1/12, 12%, they don't care and waste this enormous valuable source of nature. So that thing, for that we have gathered together to disseminate, to value how we should value the water and it's solve the crisis all over the world over. Being a valuer and into evaluation practice for last 30 years, valuation is a function between the cost and the benefits. Till now, whereas the water is a resource which is a very and rare, and all the valuation process on works on demand and supply. Now here the natural source supply water is fixed and demand is increasing day by day due to population increase and its usage in industrial and other ventures of the human being. Not only that, we are forgetting the people are forgetting the actual usage, organic usage of water to save our environment and the sustainable development process. So to this year, all the people have also decided to make sustainable development goals to maintain this natural resource. So with this, we have got three speakers, on our this today presentation, which have got the enormous experience and knowledge, which they will share. Before I open the deliberation in section, technical session for this, I would request our chairman, Mr. Sandeep Handa, to open this session with his keynote address. Mr. Sandeep Handa, please.
Let's do lamp lighting.
Yes, yes. Before that, we can have a process of lighting of the lamp also. I think this is available with being knowledgeable. Yeah, thanks. Do we? Okay. So over to Sandeep Handaji.
Thank you, Engineer Sushil and Engineer Pradeep Malaji. Uh, it's my privilege that I get a chance to speak so on this, and this particular day topic, World Water Day, is very near to my heart. As Engineer Sushil was saying, that past 5 years we have been very religiously celebrating this World Water Day, and we have been trying to take few pledges. And I believe a lot of us who are available today in the session would be following it up and contributing whatever little they would be talking about. To talk about World Water Day, yes, valuing water. What I'll do is I'll just give you the opening session for what water we are referring here to. Our planet is called the water planet. That means we have got an excess amount of water. What we say is water on earth is more than 99% of earth's water is unusable. So what we talk about here is the usable water, and that is what valuing water refers to. Now usable water, when we talk, is known as fresh water, and this is found only in areas, lakes, rivers, and swamps, and to a certain area, the glaciers and the others. The seas, the oceans are all salt waters. So what we do here is to make this aware once in a year. The UN under the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, what they say about is that by 2030 they are going to make water and sanitation available for all human beings and animals across the earth. That is what they are talking about. Now, uh, what we are going to do here is, among us group, we are going to raise the awareness of the global water crisis, which I believe our three speakers will take you through and will go ahead. Now, Sushilji has already told you about the 50% and the 20%, so that data I'm not covering. What I'm going to talk about today is why water is important to us. Now, water is very, very essential to life because it constitutes around 65% of our body and 90% of the plants. So that means, in other words, what we say is water is life. We cannot survive water without water, as we cannot survive without air. So these two are the basic important parts of us. Now, what we find is millions of people die every year associated with lack of water, sanitation, and hygiene. All these are interrelated, interconnected. There's a lot of data in this, what people talk about, how many people are there, how much wastage is there, and natural disasters are there, but that's beyond the point. What we're going to talk about is the 1992, when UN started this water as an to have an economic value, is when 1993 onwards the World Water Day started, the celebration started, initiated. Now I just came across one very nice thing. There's something called Bellagio principles on valuing water. This was first time that I got through while reading through, which I also didn't know about it. There are 5 basic principles in this. What they talk about is I'll just share with you. Probably going through, others also would have got through, because we normally, when we are celebrating certain things, we try to look into what other information we can do it. So I'm going to share these 5 principles with you. First, it says recognize water's multiple values principle. What it says is consider the multiple values to different stakeholders in all decisions affecting water. They are deep interconnections between human needs, economic well being, spirituality, viability of freshwater ecosystems, and we all should consider this. The next is Build trust principle. Conduct all processes to reconcile values in ways that are equitable, transparent, inclusive of multiple values. Trade offs will be inevitable, especially when water is scarce commodity. So, inaction may also have costs that involve steeper trade offs. These processes need to be adaptive in the face of local and global changes. Then they say protect the sources principle. Value and protect all sources of water, including watersheds, rivers, aquifers, ecosystems for current and future
Future
generations.
generation.
Then the next is they talk about empower principle. Promote education, public awareness, essential role of water and its intrinsic value. This is what we talk about, intrinsic value. So now this will facilitate us better in our decision making and more sustainable water consumption patterns. And the last, what they talk about is very good. They say invest and innovate principle. What they talk about is increase investment in institutions, innovation to try and realize the full potential and values of water. Try and see that you do not, in any case, waste water. One of our speakers would certainly talk about lot of areas where the wastage can be avoided. Now, these were the five principles which I thought are important for today, and if we can imbibe them, that will be good. Now, uh, I'll just talk a little bit more about what is freshwater biome. Now, as I was telling you, water which has got salts less than 1% can be treated as fresh water. Now, plants, animals, and human beings all survive on freshwater regions. Now, what are these freshwater regions? Those could be ponds, lakes, which are of very small size to few kilometers and thousands of square kilometers, could be lakes, streams, and rivers, the normal bodies which are flowing water moving in one directions, which are have got the opening, the mouths, and the another way to channel to the ocean. That is what. And the third is the wetlands, which are standing water supporting aquatic plants, marshes, etc. Now, we can talk about cycle, which one of them should be talking about, because that will revive our thought process. How normally we have a fresh water cycle or a water cycle which goes off. The last, what we can talk about is, I'll just share one more data with you, which was interesting to me, and I thought I should talk about it. Now, where is the water, Earth's water? Now, fresh water is only 2.5%. 96.5% is oceans and 0.9% is saline. So that leaves to 2.6% as the fresh water. In fresh water also, how do we divide? The glaciers and the ice caps are almost 68.7%. Groundwater is 30.1%. That means this particular water is not directly with us. The surface and other fresh water which we are talking about, we are discussing about, is just left over to 1.2%. Now, if you see this 1.2% also, the is what we are going to talk. And as Sushilji was talking about, the value becomes more intrinsic when the supply demand ratio becomes very, very critical. And that is what it's happening at present for us, for our society on the earth. I wish once again to all attending and participating the all the best for the success of today's event, and we all in-house somehow take an onus to ourselves and pledge to ourselves to contribute by whatever little amount by saving and not wasting water. Thank you, and over to you now, Mr. Sushil.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for your nice advice and words, sir. And definitely we'll take care of this, and this will emanate to the society also. Your message will emanate to the society too. So I would request Malaji to run Institution of Engineers anthem. So before we start our technical session, Malaji, are you there? Hello.
Yes, he is there. I can see him in the video.
Malaji, will you please run Institution of Engineers anthem?
Just a minute, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
विश्वेश्वरैया जी के आदर्शों को मिलकर करें नमन। आओ अभियंतागण हम सब भारत का करें सृजन। आओ अभियंतागण हम सब भारत का करें सृजन। जोड़े नदियाँ सेतु बनाए, शहर गाँव का भेद मिटाए। तकनीकी शिक्षा का दीपक विश्व के हर कोने में जलाए। ऊर्जा के अक्षय स्रोतों से मनुष्य को भी करे चमन। आओ अभियंतागण हम सब भारत का करें सृजन। आओ अभियंतागण हम सब भारत का करें सृजन। अनवरत प्रशिक्षण से हम अपनी कार्य कुशलता बढ़ाएं। यातायात संचार में उन्नत प्रौद्योगिकी को अपनाएं। नैसर्गिक हो या औद्योगिक आपदाओं का करें शमन। आओ अभियंतागण हम सब भारत का करें सृजन। आओ अभियंतागण हम सब भारत का करें सृजन। विश्वेश्वरैया जी के आदर्शों को मिलकर करें नमन। आओ अभियंतागण हम सब भारत का करें सृजन। आओ अभियंतागण हम सब भारत का करें सृजन।
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now we move the session forward to our technical session. So, as our chairman, Mr. Sandeep Handaji, mentioned about the Sustainable Development Goals 6, it's a strong wish and a goal also to achieve water and sanitation for all by 2030. So, there's only 9 years left, but at present, the way the things are moving, maybe by the government organizations, private people, and awareness by the general public, it appears to be a unachievable goal. But engineers have engineers have their own strength. They can prove themselves, and they have proved themselves in the history. The only thing I simply want to add is we simply need the support of people and the government organizations and the larger organizations, economic organizations, lenders, and all that to achieve this goal. So, with this, I invite our first speaker, Mr. JP Malhotra ji. He is already a well known personality. No need to, it would be like showing a lamp to the sun, but still, it's a custom to read about him. He is with the Institution of Engineers Center since the inception, since from last 10 years back. He's a graduate in mechanical engineering from Delhi College of Engineering and has got 46 years of experience as both employee and employer. He started his career as an employee from Atlas Cycle Industries and then became an employer from a managing director and chairman of Bharat Walls. In between, he joined other companies also like Superflame group of companies and all that. So he's not only associated with our organization, Faridabad Local Center, he is an active member of so many social organizations, Faridabad and around, like PhD Chambers of Commerce, Manav Rachna International University, Council of Child Welfare, National Small Industries Corporation, and so forth. He is an award winner too, and got so many feathers in his cap, so many awards conferred on him, which is one of the prestigious one is given to him as National Award for Outstanding Small Scale Entrepreneur for State of Haryana by President of India, Dr. Shankar Dal Sharma. So the list is so long, it would be
I think this
too
will
long
be
to read it. But I know that you all know everything. And he has got another thing, another feather I want to mention here is that he is a book with, he has got a book also written. That's a tips for bright ideas, which he has given me also, and I read it very honestly and takes the tips sometimes to lead a happy life. So over to Malhotra ji. Is your the
Thank you. Can
table is
I
all
share the
yours.
screen, please? Am I audible? Can I see your screen, sir?
Yes, yes. No, not screen, yourself.
हाँ स्क्रीन जरा शेयर करेंगे गिव मी स्पेस परमिट मी प्रदीप जी
Permitted.
स्क्रीन आ गई ओके इज माय स्क्रीन विजिबल सर
Yes, yes, yes.
First of all, thank you, Sushil, for a good piece of introduction, which motivates me to do a little more labor when I speak to a august audience like the present one today here. Honorable Chairman, IEI Faridabad, Engineer Sandeep Hada ji, respected, distinguished panel speakers, Engineer Ashok Sinha ji, Engineer I.S. Chauhan ji, senior engineers and members of the Executive Committee, FLCC, who have joined and associated themselves with the Water Day celebrations today. Members of industry, members of the organizing team, Engineer K.R. Gupta ji, Honorary Secretary, IEI Faridabad, who persuaded me to make a presentation today. Of course, without Engineer Sushil Bajaj and Pradeep Malla, this webinar would not have been the way it is going on today. Let me first of all express my gracious gratitude to the organizing team to give me a chance to make this presentation on valuing water, the theme of this year's water celebration. During the next 10-15 minutes, let's ponder upon the objectives of the Water Day, we'll talk about why value water. I have made a small list of actionable agenda by NGOs and the Government of India. How do we use the technology to change the future of water? The objectives of Water Day is, to my opinion, raise and relook the awareness, as the chairman was talking, identify the key stakeholders, have a look at the policy formulation by the authorities, and last, the capacity development and use of technology. Water as an acronym. WI to me means watershed development. A means advocacy, awareness, activism. T stands for transformation, regeneration of water bodies. Our chairman was talking about regenerating the water bodies. E is efficient rainwater harvesting. R, the common principle that engineers work on: reduce, reuse, retrieve, recharge, and recycle. Now that is, to me, water is. Friends, all of us are aware that water availability is highly uneven in space and time. Rainfall, as all of you know, is confined to monsoon season only, that is June to September. Indian rivers carry 90% of the water during June and November, and 10% of the river flow is available during the next 6 months. Dear participants, the situation is urgent because water resources are finite and fragile. Water resources are stressed and depleted. Water demands are growing very fast. According to United Nations, these figures are maybe updated. 1.8 billion people will be living in water scarcity, and the demand of irrigation will jump by 15%. I was going through a data. 780 million people live without access to clean water, and the growing global population, coupled with the climate change, is threatening to increase. I'm just going through latest data on status of water, say for Faridabad first. We have a demand of 300 MLD. This is the MCF data. Sushil ji mein se jante honge, there might be some corrections and updation. And supply by MCF is 249 MLD. And as a survey has been conducted now, the second part is the operational part. The total water connections are 1,39,000. Out of which only 25,000 are metered. That means we have 1,14,000 connections where people draw water without meter. Coming to Delhi, water required is 1,260 MGD, whereas the peak hour supply has been 935 MGD. Now this demand supply gap puts a pressure on subsurface water, which results into illegal tubewells. अभी दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट ने सर्वे किया था जिसमें उन्होंने पाया कि they had 12,350 illegal tubewells. Now water from these illegal tubewells is used for blending domestic supplies, washing floors and cars, running water plants, horticulture, and selling packaged water. Now another data which has been come to my notice is that the largest groundwater depletion in the world is in North India, with Delhi NCR as epicenter. Correct me if I'm wrong when I say groundwater depletion is 0.2 meters per year. Reasons to my mind: high rate of growth of population, high level of urbanization. Well, as many experts say, and we also believe, that rainwater harvesting is a solution. Now, if you see, have a look at the rainfall. The rainfall in Delhi is 611 mm, and during monsoon, we have 533 mm of rainwater in Delhi. Now, DJB, Delhi Jal Board, recently did a survey, and they have still to install 186 stations, rainwater harvesting stations. अभी तक दिल्ली में कुल 585 rainwater installations हैं. There is a balance of about 200 which is to be done. Again, the same report says how much area is available for the groundwater recharge. Total area जो उसने किया breakup किया उन्होंने तो 190 square kilometers is the roof area for our buildings and houses. 81 square kilometers is the pavement area, ये जो pedestrian area जिसको बोलते हैं, और 554 square kilometer जो है वो बाकी area है जहाँ which is available for groundwater recharge. Next slide. What we propose is that MCD, MCF or NGOs install mini STPs for parks, and the parks stop drawing water from tubewells. Recently, Faridabad mein, in one of the parks in NIT, a 10,000 MLD plant has been set up at a cost of 10 lakhs of rupees, and the successful trials are running for last 2 months. I think that's one way out to stop the water being used by parks. Now, this will result into effective disposal, safe groundwater, and now we have come to know that the sludge is used for making bricks using additives. Now, these bricks can be used for partition walls. Sushilji, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know the additive which you are using.
No, sir, please. Your presentation is very right. And actually, what I was going at back of my head was your presentation PPT made is also very good. I think your daughter-in-law has helped you in
Yes, this is because of Charu.
You know, that water droplet in your PPT is very, very nice way of presenting.
Thank you. Now, may I suggest why should we value water? जैसा कि अभी हमारे प्रधान जी ने भी कहा, चेयरमैन सर ने, clean water is the basic need for all living beings, and we need water for healthier and more productive lives. It is believed that when people have access to clean water, they have better life. 3.4 billion people die because of waterborne disease every year. I think these figures will probably make you think how often you leave the faucet dripping, how often you take too long in the shower, how many times we pour out few bottles of Bisleri bottles which are not finished when we go to conferences, hotels and parties. This data, I'm not sure कि कितना अपडेट इसको करना होगा, पर per capita availability is below 1000 meter cube. सिन्हा साहब ज्यादा इसके बारे में राइट डाल सकते हैं. And our population under water scarcity is more than 20 crores. और अगर water available हो भी जाएगा, the storage capacity is not there. Per capita storage capacity is only 400 meter cube. Even when all the ongoing potential resources are completed. Coming to external agenda, that is called achieving water sufficiency. As all of us know, water is a prime natural resource, a prime human need, a precious natural asset, an issue which has bearing on most of the problems faced by the country, as a resource, individual system of rainfall, river waters, surface ponds, lakes, groundwater. The agenda on which action has to be taken is to focus on fundamental changes, how to allocate water and plan its usage, how to manage the water region-wise, season-wise, to deal and decide on the problem of water resources, and not the least, to mobilize the financial resources. Since I am actively involved in the Rotary, we have a wash in schools project. Our NGO, Rotary NGO, they have set of goals which can be adopted by other NGOs also. They say you provide wash facilities in 150,000 schools, renovate, construct toilets, provide hand washing stations and drinking water facilities, promote menstrual hygiene, make 5,000 villages ODF plus, provide 1,000 villages with tap water connection and a Government of India Jal Jeevan Mission, 500 community toilets, 500 blocks, toilet blocks for visitors, migrant workers. And I am happy to tell you that our international president now has given a call that in the field of water, its use and conservation and sanitation, Rotary would do 10% of what government does. Straight away, whatever government does in any field, whether it's check dams, toilets, submersibles, whatever government does for water, the Rotary will contribute to 10% of that by quantity. At national level, I think my fellow speakers will agree that water should now be declared as a national resource, and Government of India is actively thinking, but they have to give a shape to it. We have to link rivers for optimum use of this scarce national resource. This is the demand raised by the industry. We have to grant infrastructure status to water supply, sewage and sanitation. When you give infrastructure status, a lot of follow-up measures are done by the district authorities, state authorities, and national authorities. Since the agenda will require finances, what we request is the Government of India is to grant 10-year tax holiday for investment in water sector. And above all, we at national level, the leakages have to be plugged. 51% water जो है वो leakage है all over. I will not go into details, but it needs to be done. At the ministry level, I'm told that they have made a inter-ministry task force on efficient utilization of water resources, which is looking after the mega irrigation as national projects, introducing schemes for rehabilitation, groundwater development, and artificial recharge. They are promoting cropping patterns suited to specific agroclimate zones. I was going through an article, and Charu also helped me in this. There are some ways where technology is changing the future of water. Startups are tackling water problems. There's a company called Imagine H2O, which organizes and encourages innovations in water industry to use technology to raise awareness about these issues and solve big water problems. Coca-Cola, as you know, are taking interest in conserving and recycling water. However, startups that create cheap, efficient water filters and purifiers are propping up all the time. Nanotechnology for water purification. IIT Madras have developed nanoparticle filtration systems. Now, this is a very cheap method of filtration, costing only 1,000 rupees each. It has the ability to remove chemical components like lead and arsenic from water. This purifier has several levels of membranes to block the contaminants, thus make water potable. Next, please. Irrigation controllers. There's a company called WaterSense. They have designed and developed irrigation controllers. They are saving by using the WaterSense controllers. Average home, 8,800 gallons of water is being saved annually. instead of using standard clock timers, water sense controllers allow watering schedules to better match the plant's water needs by using local weather and landscape conditions. There's a company called Cyber Rain. Backside. There's a company called Cyber Rain. They are developing a controller which works with automatic sprinkling systems and wirelessly communicates the information to the controller and customize the schedule to meet the needs. Powering cars. As all of us know, Toyota may not be the first, but they have the first car manufacturer who have mass-produced hydrogen cars. Now, all of you know that emission from a hydrogen fuel car is only water vapor, a new source of water. हमारे चेयरमैन सर बात करते हैं डिसैलिनेशन की. अभी डिसैलिनेशन टेक्नोलॉजी जो है वो भी इंडियन ओशंस में काफी एफिशिएंट हो रही है. इट्स बिकम more important because of growing water security. Five places in the world have turned to ocean water desalination. कैलिफोर्निया में 15 प्रोजेक्ट चल रहे हैं अभी फॉर यूजिंग डिसैलिनेशन फॉर द वाटर रिसोर्स. In China, they have started recently, which provides a third of the city's water. So desalination जो है वो भी एक one of the technologies है which can be used for creating water from the sea resource. Harnessing big data for water management. There is a company called WaterHub which is trying to bring the big data terminal for the future water data. What they're doing is they are giving you update information on wastewater treatment so that you have a fundamental data which is analyzed and make it accessible to everyone who wants to use it. In United States, अभी इंडिया में भी शुरू हो जाएगा ये काम. They are trying to find out gasoline from water. They are making new use of water as a gasoline. I will not touch because I am not convinced with this is not for conservation of water, but I included this in the presentation. Bill Gates Foundation, as all of us know, they announced a challenge that's called Bill Gates Foundation Challenge to reinvent the toilet design. There's a company called Caltech which created a toilet which turns waste to fertilizer, uses very less energy and money to do it. Recycled water is pumped back and used again. The toilet is totally self-contained. No sewer connection is needed. It is supposed to last for 20 years at a cost of ₹3 per day. And in India, I am told, Kohler, the well-known plumbing company, is working on designs for a system to scale the project. Sensors and drones to monitor water waste and usage are looking for the appealing instruments to farmers, academics, tech companies, and researchers. There's a company called Precision Hawk, which wants the farmers to integrate these seamlessly into their lives to make gathering data much easier. Farmers can find out when and where fertilizer and irrigation is most needed, therefore reducing wastewater, runoff, contamination from chemicals, etc. Drones are useful for watershed mapping, surface mapping, and disaster response. The last of the technology is very suited to India. The dire future of water implores engineers and people like us to look into the methods of water purification and filtration. Scientists have developed a water filtration technology that turns cow manure into filtered water that can be used as a fertilizer. I am told 1,000 cows can produce up to 10 million gallons of manure a year. And in India, we have a problem and an issue and a challenge of managing cows, stray cows. So if we use technology which takes waste and produces energy, combined with ultrafiltration, the cows can become a useful source of manure. Cow manure is a useful source of fertilizer and water. 1,000 gallons of manure from the cows can generate 50 gallons. 50 का मतलब हो गया तकरीबन 200 लीटर क्लीन वाटर जो है वो हम जनरेट कर सकते हैं. Friends, let's bring and inculcate the concept of ownership of water by you, he and me. Unless we own water, हमें उसका दर्द नहीं होगा, उसकी वेस्टेज का, उसकी रिटेंशन का, उसकी कंजर्वेशन का. So my appeal to all the fellow participants today is, let's inculcate the concept of ownership of water in our day-to-day life. Thank you very much. And I have not exceeded time. And once again, thank you organizers for giving me the opportunity to make my presentation. Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You have encompassed all aspects, all dimensions related to this water issue, and you have brought in so many innovative ideas into your in your presentation. Something we must propagate. And what I suggest, you please circulate your presentation amongst all members on a soft copy, so that we can further imbibe it and we can further propagate it.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Thank you very much,
presentation.
sir.
Wonderful.
I am in no comparison. My knowledge is very little as compared to your experience and knowledge.
No.
But then, you know,
You see, I feel almost dwarfed.
no, sir, no, I never meant that, sir. We look forward to hear from you because you have got much more experience in this field, sir. Thank you very much for the nice comments about my presentation. And as desired by you, it will be my pleasure to share the PPT with all of you. And plus, we propose to, with the permission of chairman and honorary secretary, we will propose to send this article to the newspapers also, so that we have the wide information publicity to the webinar so nicely organized by our chairman.
Newspaper may not be able to publish your entire thing because they have got limitation of space. But then certainly we can, get more benefited with your entire gamut of presentation.
We'll do that, sir. We'll do that.
Yeah, thank you.
देखो एचआर में तुम जैसा बंदा होता तो कोई दिक्कत वाली बात नहीं. बंदे ही नहीं थे उधर से, फाइनेंस वाले बंदे इतने खराब कि तुमको एक चीज बोले एकदम से वो जैसे गेंद होती है ना, जितनी तेजी से मैं उनको बोलता हूँ उतनी तेजी से उनका जवाब आता. तो ये चक्कर ही है. वो भी जो अब मैं किस से लड़ता हूँ, लड़ूंगा किस से लड़ूं. तुम मेरे को छोड़ा ही नहीं तुमको.
सर आप
दीवान जी आप ऑडिबल हैं.
मेरे को
दीवान जी आप ऑडिबल हैं.
चीज के पास लड़ूं.
हेलो,
आप ऑडिबल हैं.
सर मैं ऑडिबल हूँ.
आप
हाँ, यस
आप भी हैं सर.
आप भी हैं. मैं ओके. दीवान साहब को बीच में आ रहा था. आई थिंक ही वाज टेलिंग सम इंस्ट्रक्शंस टू द पीपल. So anyway, no issue. Thank you very much, Malhotra ji, for your powerful presentation, enriched with graphics and videos. And
You know the
everybody, I must say, enjoyed it from slide to slide. It has got incited so many ideas, which now pondering all over in my head. And
The
so many
content,
things to
the content
say.
copyright,
Uh,
Sushil ji, the
yeah,
content copyright is with JP Malhotra. The presentation has been done by Charles Smita.
I
That's the
know,
support
sir.
system.
I know, sir.
Thank
So
you very much. Thank you.
we are thankful to both of you. It was really an enjoyable presentation. So with this, I move forward to our next speaker, Mr. Ashok Sinha ji. He is also a mechanical engineer. He did his engineering from Bhagalpur College of Engineering in 1967. He served in Defense Science Services also. And then he switched over to Bihar State Electricity Board, ONGC, before joining Central Groundwater Board in 1973. He rose from level to level to the head of the organization from member. He has served as a member of the board also, and the Central Groundwater Authority. He had remained as a head of department of Central Groundwater Board. His experience is large. He's worked throughout the country in the Central Groundwater Board and serviced groundwater exploration, estimation in the close association with various state governments, exploitation of groundwater with sustainable development, and effective artificial recharging of aquifers was an important target for him and his organization at that time. He has also executed UN-sponsored artificial groundwater recharge studies in the Mehsana district of North Gujarat, where heavy depletion of groundwater was taking place. Was a UN fellow and traveled extensively in the USA towards these studies. He has also executed World Bank-sponsored project on hydrology in the state of Gujarat during 1998 to 2003. So he has been associated with the UPSC also in various recruitments. After post-retirement 2007, he is working as a consultant with a few drilling companies. So with such a wide and deep experience from a person who has gotten experience from an assistant engineer to the member of the board, he knows each glitch, each nut and bolt of the water management so far as the government is concerned. So I am sure with this presentation we'll be enriched by the today's agenda of the problem, how we'll be able to tackle with it. So over to Mr. Sinha ji, please.
Let's welcome Sinha Saab with a round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Bajaj, and thank you so much, Malhotra ji. You have stolen a march over me already. There is not much for me to narrate. Nevertheless, you see, I found out some of my old papers, and I have forwarded a 9-10 page write-up to Mr. Bajaj. And I will request him to please circulate amongst all the members present and on your website, so that, because it covers, in my opinion, so many aspects of water as a whole, both surface water as well as groundwater. My tries with water was more in the groundwater field than surface water, but then we used to have regular joint meetings with the Surface Water Authority, that is Central Water Commission people, and during the course of our interaction, our exchange of ideas, we learned a lot about surface water management also. So now coming to this World Water Day, as has been pointed out, the idea of celebrating 20th March as a World Water Day was started from 92 for making people aware about the utility, importance, the obtaining scenario of water availability versus utilization, And then raising awareness. The prime goal is of observing this World Water Day is raising awareness amongst 2.2 billion people who in the world are living without access to safe water. So the goal of this World Water Day is to have effective awareness amongst 2.2 billion people who are to be provided with all kinds of, not now, please, Bajaj Sahab. Not now. Later. That presentation will come later. If you can project my that other 9-page documents, if you can flash it.
Malaji, please help.
Or otherwise, I will take a synopsis of that presentation and read to you. So the theme is value. This year's theme is valuing water. So valuing water is not limited to pricing of the water. That has got a very limited meaning. See, for us, it affects. If we have to pay, then it affects. So we may feel that valuing water is limited to its pricing aspect only. No, it is beyond the pricing of the topic is to encompass environmental, social, and cultural value people place on water. The extreme weather events are making water more scarce, more unpredictable, more polluted. Then human need water to survive, as do all the systems we rely on. Sanitation, healthcare, education, business and industry all need water. So action plan has to be formed. You see, the Prime Minister has already instituted a National Water Mission, and it is taking effect throughout the country with so many programs launched together, so many aspects clubbed together. See, in India, we have got annual precipitation to the order of 4,000 billion cubic meter, but only 30% of it is utilizable. You see, Mr. Malhotra has given you so many document datas. Some of the datas may be concentric with my datas. So because of this, but this 30% is utilized only because we have got large variation in precipitation across the country because of various topographical, hydrological, and other constraints. So all of the precipitation is not utilized, they all go as waste. So action plan has been made to catch up maximum of the 70%, which can be harnessed and which can be put to better use. Then action plan to tackle climate change has to be integrated with common goal, safe and sustainable water management. Safe and sustainable water management. And per capita demand is increasing day by day, but resources are reducing due to population increase. By the year 2050, the expected demand is to be of the order of 1180 billion cubic meter per year. But availability will be only 1123. So how to bridge the gap? So that gap can be bridged only by better utilization, better management, and making people aware about the limited availability of water as a whole, either from surface or from the groundwater. There is pressing need for self-reliance in agriculture and industrial sector that has led to phenomenal development of groundwater resources. Groundwater meets almost 55% of the irrigation requirement, and 85% of domestic needs are met only with groundwater. So groundwater development across the country is also 63%, but development is not uniform. We have had over-exploitation cases and we have had under-exploitation. For example, in our Faridabad itself, we are already in dark zone. We have already over-exploitation scenario, and we have already, the groundwater authority has already notified Faridabad district as a dark zone area where no groundwater activity can be undertaken without prior approval. So similar situation is obtaining in Punjab. In Punjab, 18 districts have already been notified, but despite that, because of the irrigation pressure on groundwater, because of the farmers' insistence to produce wheat and rice only, that demand is increasing, and government is also not being able to control that. Added to that, the free electricity and the minimum support price, all that are causing the farmers to draw more and more. And Punjab is a very difficult case. Similarly, Gujarat has been facing the same problem. So we have to make the farmers aware of changing of their crop, so that less water guzzling crops with better returns can be produced. Since water is a state subject, so the responsibility of all aspects of development is of the states, but Government of India is assisting them through joint resources. Government of India has identified artificial recharge, 4.5 lakh square kilometer area in the country has been identified suitable for recharge, where recharge projects can be undertaken. This is estimated is that 36.5 billion cubic meter annually from surplus surface runoff can be recharged for augmenting of groundwater. The ultimate goal is creation of 2.5 lakh artificial recharge structures in rural area. Similarly, in hilly region where recharge structures cannot be created, the spring development of almost 2,700 spring is proposed. In urban areas, the government has proposed rainwater harvesting structure from rooftop rainwater harvesting in 37 lakh rainwater harvesting structures. In the 8 states of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Gujarat, and Himachal Pradesh, 17 most backward districts have been identified with very high stage of groundwater development, and they have been identified for construction of 22,395 rainwater harvesting structures and artificial recharge structures through institution of like Panchayati Raj and through NREGA, National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. This scheme was launched during the year 2006, and I was there in the scene, and we had included the construction of rainwater harvesting structure as a source of employment to our rural workers, and a large budget was kept aside for working on this construction of rainwater harvesting structures through this NREGS. I hope it is continuing. Then demonstrative structures for the benefit of the people have also been proposed for construction of artificial recharge and rainwater harvesting structures, and there have been 13 identified areas of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Madhya Pradesh. Then we have got large number of existing structures which has become defunct or non-functional. So the Ministry of Water Resources, now called Ganga Rejuvenation and Water Resources Ministry, has also launched program for repair, renovation and restoration of water bodies in several states. Rainwater harvesting in government schools, particularly in girls' schools. So I would like to state that we have been going through a state of affair where in the girls' school, the girls were dropping out because of absence of toilets in their school. So we planned, and of course there was NGOs also in that. We planned that every girl school must have rainwater harvesting structure so that minimum water can be stored and which can be used for flushing the toilet and use in the urinals. So fund was allocated to the NGO for this purpose, and about 2 lakh rupees per school, and as a pilot project to some 500 schools were selected across the country, and rainwater harvesting structure, rooftop rainwater harvesting structures were created in schools with girls, and the toilets were made functional. As a result, the dropout considerably reduced, and it was a very successful program. I hope it is continuing. The Government of India has established National Water Mission as one of the most important missions in the country. The 5 goals envisaged with the National Water Mission, it was the brainchild of our Prime Minister. The 5 goals envisaged in the National Water Mission are generation of comprehensive water database in public domain and assessment of impact of climate change of water resources. Then promotion of citizen and state action plan for water conservation, augmentation and preservation. Then focused attention to the vulnerable area, including overexploited areas. The 4th goal is increase of water use efficiency by at least 20% during this current plan. You see, water use efficiency is also a very important thing. You see, we have got a lot of irrigation, and you see, from the head works to the tail works. In the case of your own field, you have got a tube well or a irrigation well located at one corner of the well of the field, and through nallas and through channels you take water, open channels, you take water up to the last point. As a result, what happens? Lot of water is wasted due to trans-evaporation, and then during the passage of water flow, it absorbs lot of soil salinity, etc. As a result, the tail end becomes extremely saline and becomes infertile. So that is one of the, I mean, primitive method of irrigating your field with your own well or tube well. So instead, the sprinkler use of a sprinkler that is uniform, that does not cause any salinity problem. So with all these things, we can increase the production and preserve the last drop of water for better use. So there are several other methods. For example, use of design of toilets where minimum water can give you better efficiency. So these are some of the, then promotion of basin level integrated water resources management. So you see, we have got different basins and sub basins. So आपने सुना होगा खेत का पानी खेत में, गांव का पानी गांव में. So the basin, different river basins, they are formed out of different secondary basins. So if we can manage the water in the different sub basins itself, then the water that is accumulated finally and goes waste will be avoided. Better you use it at different levels. That can be done with so many methods. For example, checking, creating check dams. For example, creating your gully plug, etc., etc. Those are several methods for basin management. So these are the 5 goals envisaged by Government of India under this National Water Mission. So with that, I will request you to kindly flash my PowerPoint presentation, which I had given. There are some 27 slides. So, Bajaj Sahab, can you do it? You are not audible. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now it is. It is okay. Water conservation and cost estimates. Next, please. See, this slide gives you only 3% is fresh water, 97% is saline water, and distribution of fresh water on Earth is to the extent of, a ratio of groundwater versus surface water. And as you can see, glacier and ice caps, they occupy maximum percentage of fresh water. Next, please. Global position is largest user of groundwater in the world, 245 billion cubic meter per year, 25% of global withdrawals, more than the groundwater extraction of USA and China combined is in our country. I mean, this word is missing. It is describing the Indian condition. And then in the Indian context, 65% of total irrigated area comes under this groundwater irrigation only. And 85% of all irrigated area have been added after 1970, where after the great drought of late 60s, there was massive development in tubewell industries, when tubewell technology came into our hands. Then rural water supply, 85% is dependent on groundwater only. 50% of water supply in urban area is dependent on groundwater only. Next, please. See, now the map shows overexploited. We call it overexploited when the availability of annual recharge is falling short, and the exploitation is more than that. So that means we are delving into our fixed deposits. So there are 1186 blocks in the country which are overexploited. Critical when up to 90% of the, you see, we call it overexploited when we count the recharge during this monsoon, that rainwater that recharges, say the fluctuation of water level between the monsoon end and before monsoon. That storage is, we call it as our saving account. So we should use only that much. If we exceed that, then we become overexploited. So with that analogy, when we say that we have used 90% of our this thing recharge, then we call it critical. Then semi-critical is around 60%, and then 100 blocks are saline and safe 4,310 only. Then decline in groundwater level. We have been monitoring. We have got monitoring stations. Some 20,000, 22,000 monitoring wells across the country are there, and some of the active monitor. I mean, some of the wells they have become dry or defunct. So we have 61% of monitoring wells in which the various decline in groundwater level from 0 to 2 meter annually is 42. You see, it is perceptibly very high. I mean, 2 meter decline every year is amongst 42.7% of our monitored wells. Then 2 to 4%, 11.5%, and more than 4 meter every year is 7.2. Next, please. Then overexploitation of groundwater, it is causing adverse impact on poorer sections of society. Those people who do not have access to piped water, those people who do not have access to wells, who have to depend only on the dug wells, they are most affected people. Then income of farmers are affected. Drinking water security is affected. Then detrimental to sustainability of groundwater sources, increased vulnerability to drought. You see, during the 60s, when we had extreme drought and we had to import food from USA, we didn't have that green revolution. At that time, groundwater was thought to be the messiah, and we went on exploiting groundwater. We created so many tube wells. At that time, exploitation was the word. Nikalo jitna nikal sakte. Now, management and conservation has become the watchword. Next, please. Then dependency on increasing dependency on groundwater is because of its easy availability. Wherever you want, you can dig a well and you get water. Unlike surface water schemes where you have to create structures and then transport, etc., etc. Then absence of groundwater management structure, and then Indian Easement Act. That Indian Easement Act 1882 is essentially authorized you to own water on your land. If I am owning one canal of land, then I can exploit whatsoever I want below my feet. So that concept has led to the proliferation of wells. Every household will want to have a well. Every household will want to have a tube well. So because of that concept, if I am having a house on a plot, we will have a tube well on my side. We will have a dug well on my premise for fetching my own water. So that Easement Act of 1882, formulated during British era, has caused all this water shortage, water exploitation to the extreme. We don't care for what our drawing of water from the subsurface, groundwater, will have effect on others. So with all those considerations, then ultimately some sustainable method has to be evolved where we can have a joint resources, joint exploitation for benefiting everyone. Next, please. Next, please. Then indiscriminate groundwater scenario, you see more than 4% groundwater level depletion is in pockets of 300 districts. That has been computed during last 10 years. Then overexploited and dark critical assessment units have increased from 250 to 1150 over a period of 15, 19, 20 years, you can say. And there were 5,273 assessment units for calculating this groundwater resources estimation. We carry out resource estimation every 4 years in consultation, in cooperation, in conjunction with state governments, and then we declare jointly. We categorize all the blocks in that state as being overexploited, dark, or safe. Then you see there is decrease in groundwater quality because of overexploitation. There is seawater ingress in coastal areas, particularly our coastal areas in the state of Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Andhra. Because of heavy exploitation, the balance between the water pressure head created by the groundwater deposits is reducing, and the saline water from the sea is increasing. So that is another adverse effect. Next, please. Then this is the depth to water level graph over the year. You see, from 93 to 2009, that you can see the depth to water has gone down from 7 meters to almost 24 meters. And the decline is at the rate of 1 per meter. And the pink shows water level below base. Next, please. Then you see we have got evapotranspiration and precipitation, then surface. This shows the water cycle and ultimately recharge. And we call that the water which is available immediately for our use, we call it phreatic aquifer. Next, please. The rainwater harvesting is the technique of collection and storage. Then annual precipitation, I already told you, the annual precipitation is of the order of 4,000 billion cubic meter. Large variation in rainfall in space and time across the country. In Western Rajasthan, the precipitation is less than 300 millimeter, whereas in Meghalaya it is 11,000 millimeter per year. So because of large variation in the space and time, we have got this unbalance. Even in a particular state, for example, in our state of Haryana, the northwestern part of Haryana is arid to semi-arid, whereas the southern part of where we are living, Faridabad, is also close to arid. We have got very limited precipitation, annual rainfall. The major portion of rainfall is restricted to 10 to 100 days. You see, the rains are also not uniform across the year. The active rainfall days are anything from 10 to 100 days. So you have got cloud burst, you have got heavy rainfalls all at a time. As a result, they cannot be stored, they cannot be preserved, they just go as runoff. So these are the reasons because of which we are not being able to utilize our complete precipitation. Next, please. Water conservation through collection and storage of rainwater or surface through reservoir, pond, etc. These are the different methods with which you can conserve. You see, during good old times, you will remember every village used to have a pond where people used to go and had their water filling, other was cattle washing, everything. So slowly they stopped going over there. They almost blocked passage of surface runoff to the ponds. The ponds have become totally dry. So they are to be rejuvenated. I narrated that there is a target to repair and renovate restoration of water bodies. So this is here. Then subsurface storage. Subsurface storage is again same thing. Artificial recharging and creating groundwater reservoirs where we can have we have got surplus surface runoff. Next, please. Then this describes surface techniques. Hill terrain with large number of rainy days, high runoff, but aquifers are poor, we cannot store them. Then areas where saline water is in shallow zone. For example, in our Faridabad itself, we have got saline zones where it's of no use recharging the aquifers. Simply creating a rainwater harvesting structure in your home and collecting rainwater and then putting it through a tube well or a dug well into the aquifer is of no good. Unless we know the subsurface water quality, we should recharge only freshwater aquifers. If we are recharging without proper knowledge of the quality of water, you are simply adding to the saline water storage. So before recharging, you must know which aquifer at which depth is to be recharged. So the structure is to be made properly. Groundwater structure, simply creating a tube well or simply creating a shaft, recharge shaft is no good. You are storing, no doubt, but then you may or you may not be helping yourself. If you are recharging to the saline water zone, then it's of no use. So knowing the quality of the aquifers is a must. Next, please.
Sinha sir?
Yeah.
We are running short of time. Your presentation is very interesting.
Okay.
But we have to keep up with the time also.
Sure.
To conclude.
I thought okay. Okay. So thing is, and I will round it up with that during 92, Groundwater Authority was created with the purpose of meaningful water management, water conservation, and to be a watchdog over the development of groundwater. And the Groundwater Authority is now actively involved in environmental protection vis-a-vis groundwater use and exploitation, and it has got the mandate of Supreme Court, and its laws are central laws. It's not, as I told you, the water is a state subject in general. So different states have made their own laws and rules. But Groundwater Authority is working under a central law mandated by the Supreme Court of India, and our directions, our guidelines are all binding upon them. And then it's doing a good work. And I told you all those dark blocks, notification of areas, vis-a-vis. For example, even in Delhi, out of the 6 or 7 districts, 4 districts have been declared as overexploited zone where tubewell construction is banned. We have been working in tandem, in close cooperation with Delhi Jal Board, and we have been ensuring that there is no illegal tubewell construction. Of course, you know how it works, system works. So I thank you so much. I thank you all, particularly to Bajaj ji, to Malhotra ji, Chauhan ji, Handa ji, and I feel extremely honored to have been invited for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We are really enlightened by your presentation, sir, and has come to know how the government organization functions, and they are doing to conserve the main natural source. So since we are almost reached the closing time,
Bajaj sahab, I will
would like-
request that paper kindly circulate.
I'll
Because
definitely
that paper
do it, sir.
contains extensive, I have compiled with the help of one of my colleagues, and that
Sure,
will
sir.
be very enlightening.
Sure, sir. I'll request my Gupta ji, secretary, jo hai, aaj
Yes,
already
yes.
secretary
We'll
hai.
take care. We'll take care.
Thank you.
So our next speaker is Mr. I.S. Chauhan. He is a consultant based at Gurgaon. He holds bachelor's degree in civil engineering from NIT Rourkela, and he's postgraduate in structural engineering and MBA. To his credit, he is a member of so many professional organizations. He is a practicing valuer for last 25 years and a visiting faculty to number of institutes also. So he is providing consultancy to government organizations like RITES, Haryana Tourism, PWD, etc. With this, I would request Mr. Chauhan sir to please present your presentation or your lecture, whatever you want to give, and please consider the time. Please excuse me for mentioning it again and again, but we have got time finding also. Yeah, it's over to you, sir.
Okay, good afternoon to all. Respected chairman, secretary.
It always happens
Hello?
in the last year, you know.
Hello?
Don't mind.
Hello?
Yes, yes. You are audible. You are audible.
Continue, please continue.
Hello?
Chauhan ji, you are audible. Please continue.
Hello.
Chauhan sir, please continue.
Good afternoon to all. Respected chairman, honorable secretary, and president, past president, and all eminent members of the society and the viewers. I extend my gratitude to the organizers to give me the opportunity to speak on the subject value of the water.
Insa, दोनों ना गाल करेंगे.
Hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, you continue.
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. It had been, I think, 1.5 hours, and lot of things have been discussed already. And our main aim to just bring an awareness to value of water and that is not awareness, a curiosity to awareness. It's sufficient. I think if we will have curiosity, generate the curiosity to awareness, our purpose will be met. Let's say, I think it is working. This is a water cycle. Everybody knows it's a natural process, natural phenomena. Water from the groundwater tapped by us and flowing on the ground. It is evaporating, evapotranspiration is, and then evapotranspirated water is condensed and precipitation occurs and it is again repeating. It's a natural cycle and we are using the water for drinking, that is potable water. What is the problem here? The crisis of water, crisis of potable water. Crisis of potable water, we will not go in detail, the data already presented by our eminent speakers, but few, just 2.2 billion people living without access to safe water, hosting 17% of world population. India has the maximum number of people, say 600 million out of 130 crores. 50% of population, according to the World Water Survey, facing acute shortage of water. 30% of Indians have been in a situation where it was unsafe to drink the water, but had to consume it given no other choice, and thereby suffered from waterborne disease, diarrhea, gastroenteritis, hepatitis. Why? They are contaminating the water. The toilets constructed and the sewage created, that has not been treated at all. And that is mingling, that is further ingressing into our rich sources of groundwater. The natural phenomena has been totally dismantled. The government of India estimates that 70% of available water is unfit for consumption without prior treatment. The Water Research Institute, WRI, also shows that 50% of the nation is facing high to extreme high water stress, and this is only bound to get. Lot of has been done, but still it is just oont ke muh mein jeera, we say. The pipeline had to be laid to bring the grey water, treated water for the farming and for the park sprinkling, that has not been yet completed. And the water we are treating in the STP, sewage treatment plant, that is centralized one, and hardly the total sewage connection is working, and the total that is flowing into the STP. And before that, it is increasing our water lines. In my opinion, there should be some decentralization in the cities so that it will be reaching to the STP and it will be treated. And what happens, government has instructed us to reuse the grey water, that treated water as they call, to be used in the construction. Nobody can use that water in the construction. Only the files are maintained, purchase vouchers are maintained. It's just a funny thing. Taking action to tackle the global water crisis, our institution have already raised the sustainable in our theme, that is already mentioned that 17 sustainable development goals have been set. Out of them, I have lighted clean water sanitation, clean water and sanitation, that is main goal. And water, without water, we cannot alleviate the poverty, that all other thing, hunger, good health, we cannot hope for that. With bin pani sab soon. Rhymes, let me mention the rhyme. Everybody might have read this. Rahiman pani rakhiye bin pani sub soon. Pani bina na ubre moti manas chun. Pani, water, that potable water, and pani, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink, rhymes that by ancient sailor. There is no shortage of water. We have the saline water. We are hoping that that will also be treated, and that water must potable water. How the common man get it? The natural infrastructure of water management, that is to be managed. We have very short of time, but I want to bring your attention to the technicalities of the system. In this short time, whatever I can do, awareness, we can connect me later on. Natural water infrastructure, that rainwater harvesting right from the terrace, green roofs should be maintained. Capturing rainwater from the green roofs. I think diagram must be visible here. You can see the green roof, then tapped water, and this water can be used after treating for drinking also. That chain of the, and some of the water we are tapping for that has been used for irrigation also. But our aim should be that lowest runoff, improving the infiltration into the ground. We are maintaining in our projects the porous concreting we are doing, and porous paver block we are using, so that the water will infiltrate into the ground. And we have the hole in the paver block also, that grassland is also there. Partially there will be grass. That is permeable pavement, we call it. Providing infiltration and bioretention in the urban green space. In the diagram already, everything has been explained in the short, but I am listing it again. Improving the infiltration using bioretention is that plantation is done, that natural say hedge, and that so many things, plant trees are generated, raised there near the water bodies, and the whatever water collected shall be pured, and pure water will further infiltrate into the ground, purifying wastewater, elevating flooding, and that will reduce flooding also. If the infiltration of water increases, runoff decreases, definitely there will not be flooding hazard. Water harvesting, rainwater harvesting, everything is in the same line. Hybrid solution that contains built element that interacts with natural features and seek to enhance their water-related ecosystem services. Connecting river to floodplains and aquifers. Aquifers, that again we are increasing, we are again regenerating our depleting water, underground water resources. Forest landscape restoration to reduce flood impact, stabilizing slope and providing clean. Conserving and protecting water resources, establishing flood bypasses to reduce downstream flooding, growing crops to reduce. We know our rain in the rainy season, there is, and that flood is to be controlled through controlled measures. Growing crop to reduce erosion and increasing infiltration in the slopes, in the hilly area, in the down slope. Growing crops that also reduces the erosion, providing riparian buffers to maintain water quality and reduce erosion. riparian buffers zone are created in between of the flowing waters that also purify the waters, conserving and restoring wetlands, protecting and restoring mangroves, coastal wetland and dunes, protecting and restoring reefs for coastal protection and habitats. Now, these were the natural. Sometimes, I think, few years back, we discussed gray water infrastructure, blue infrastructure, and green infrastructure. I think everybody have forgotten that things, but we have to um, bring the attention to the people, stakeholders, government to strengthen the infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure, basic infrastructure, that water, basic requirement of water is not met. And we are talking about for the infrastructure that is to be sustainable one. And we have to bring that. Our attention is also should be drawn that we will not waste the water. Everybody is leaving the water is flowing in front of your dams, and lot of water is still wasted in your RO system. I think 70% of water is wasted in your RO. Still you are using that. I think government have already given some notification, but nobody have still taken any measure for that. What we do in our projects, we calculate recycling of water. That water balance diagram in summer season, if you see on the screen, fresh water and flushing water requirement is met. Flushing water requirement is met by the sewage, and that sewage waste water, part of water in the rainy summer season, we have the extra demand, and extra demand of the water is tapped from the STP. We can use in the horticulture. If you see the red lines, we are using the recycled water we are using. We are considering the horticulture requirement in the summer as the highest one. So we don't use our potable rich water, but we will use the treated water. That is mandatory from government also, but how much we are meeting in our projects, that is also to be seen. And in the water diagram in monsoon season, we have excess water. Excess water is to be discharged. And in the winter season, we have moderate requirement for horticulture, and that diagram has been prepared accordingly. And this is the wastewater treatment, perfect wastewater treatment plants, and they are to be constructed, not the like we have right now. Thank you for listening, and I think all our eminent speakers have drawn your attention so that you will have at least curiosity for awareness of water value. Thank you.
Thank you, Chauhan Sahab. Thank you very much for your valuable words and a piece of advice. So, as today's session is going to end, I would like to conclude by saying, by taking excerpts from our eminent speakers. We have been given a theme for valuing water. So when we say valuing, we want to assign a number with respect to economic value, economic number. So assigning an economic value number, we have to consider so many different aspects like demand and supply and replacement cost. the replacement cost of water, since it's a very, very limited supply is limited, demand is increasing. So in that scenario, the valuating of water is become a very, very complex exercise, and which have consider more factors which are more than its price. Like water has enormous intangible values also, and complex value for our households, food, culture, health, education, economics, and the ecology ecosystem as a whole. Besides the integrity of our natural environment, if we overlook any of these values, we risk mismanaging this finite, irreplaceable resource. Sustainable Development Goal 6 is to ensure water and sanitation for all. Without a comprehensive understanding of water's true multidimensional value, we will be unable to safeguard this critical resource for the benefit of everyone. Since the time is short, we have kept the goals for up to the 2030. This exercise, this goal is a very, very difficult to achieve, but if we move into the direction with the positivity, the way our speakers have told, and awareness spreads, the people value this irreplaceable source of water, definitely we will be able to achieve it. With this, I would request our honorary secretary to end this program with his vote of thanks. After that, we will have a national anthem before dispersing. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. So now over to Mr. K.R. Gupta, our honorary secretary, Faridabad local thanks.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Very good evening. A warm and chaste evening to our chairman, Engineer Sandeep Handa, Faridabad Local Center, our learned and distinguished speakers, my fellow FLCC members, and all the audience present. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who work hard to make this webinar on World Water Day on the theme Value Water a success. My sincere thanks and gratitude to learned and eminent speakers, Engineer J.P. Malhotra ji, Engineer Ashok Sinha ji, Engineer I.S. Chauhan ji for their efforts towards the excellent coverage on the theme and sharing experience on the theme. My special thanks to event moderator, Mr. Sushil Bajaj, for the support and making this event a great resounding success. A special appreciation to our member, Engineer Pradeep Mallaji, for technical arrangements and support. And I thank to our honorable IE members and the participants who blessed with their presence and took valuable time from their busy schedule.